Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're going to unpack what I honestly think is the greatest magic trick of the modern world. Think about it. You click a button on a screen, and 48 hours later, a physical box literally just appears on your doorstep. It almost feels like teleportation. But as we're about to see, that simple little click sets off a massive, entirely invisible chain reaction. We can think of e-commerce as a giant iceberg. That website you're buying from, that's just the sparkling ice we see above the water. Today, we're descending deep below the surface to explore the hidden depths of digital logistics, business strategies, and all those invisible networks that make the modern world spin.
So, when we look at familiar logos, your Amazons, your Walmarts, your eBays, we're looking at the business to consumer or B2C world. This right here is the visible surface of the e-commerce iceberg. It's the digital storefront where we all browse, add items to our carts, and check out. But what's wild is that these super user-friendly interfaces are completely reliant on a massive hidden infrastructure that, let's be honest, the average shopper never even thinks about.
Here is our roadmap for the iceberg. We'll start at the tip with a business strategy, plunge into the invisible supply chain, explore the hidden B2B engine, follow the digital money, and finally hit the bedrock, the architecture of trust. Let's get right into it. All right, Section 1, the tip of the iceberg. We're looking at strategy and the trade cycle. Literally the second you decide to buy something, boom, you enter this rigid 5-step routine known as the e-commerce trade cycle. It kicks off with the pre-sales phase, where you're just kind of browsing and comparing stuff. Then comes negotiation, when you actually decide on the terms and add it to your cart. Next up is order and payment, followed closely by the delivery phase, and finally, there's after sales for customer support and any returns. Every single online purchase, whether it's a $5,000 luxury watch or a $2 pair of novelty socks, gets forced through this exact same corporate gauntlet. But hey, to even get you into that cycle in the first place, these companies have to win your click. And to do that, they use Michael Porter's 3 generic strategies to survive. Basically, a company has to pick a lane. They can go with cost leadership, aiming to be the absolute lowest cost producer to offer you the cheapest possible price. Or they can try differentiation, offering super unique features or a premium brand, hoping you'll buy for quality rather than price. And finally, there's the focus strategy, where they just ignore the masses altogether and target a really specific niche segment. Now, here's the catch. Being the absolute cheapest or the most unique, it really doesn't mean a thing if someone beats you to the punch. We call this the first mover advantage. Early platforms lock in customer loyalty way before anyone else even shows up. Because of network effects, the value of a platform actually increases as more people use it. Think about how WhatsApp or eBay completely dominated their spaces early on. They learned the market, grabbed that brand recognition, and secured a massive advantage that latecomers just really struggle to overcome. Moving deeper underwater now to Section 2, the invisible supply chain. Let's see how that physical box actually gets to you. All right, here's the actual physical reality behind that magic trick I mentioned earlier. Let's say you order a new Samsung phone. It starts its life at the manufacturer, moves over to a massive warehouse, and gets listed on an online platform. Once you hit order, it goes straight through processing, packaging, shipping via some seriously complex logistics networks, and finally, delivery. This unbroken chain is absolutely crucial, because if even one single link fails, the product doesn't reach your door, costs skyrocket, and customer satisfaction just completely tanks. So how is all that physical movement actually kept afloat? Well, looking at Porter's value chain, the primary activities on the left, things like inbound logistics and physically packing your box, they get all the glory for moving the product. But look at the right side. Actually, scratch that. They're completely dependent on those invisible support activities. You literally can't ship a box without the tech development of AI tracking systems, the procurement of raw materials, or the human resources team hiring the warehouse staff. The physical movement relies 100% on that invisible support structure. Plunging even further down, we hit Section 3, the hidden B2B engine. This is where computers literally just talk to other computers. You see, this business-to-business or B2B layer operates in a completely different reality from the consumer shopping we're all used to. While you and I are making small individual orders at fixed prices, the businesses supplying those goods, they're playing a different game. B2B relies on massive bulk orders, heavily negotiated contracts, and really long-term relationships. It is the heavy machinery of the e-commerce world that's stocking all those digital shelves we buy from. And the native language of this hidden B2B world, it's called EDI, or Electronic Data Interchange. Think of it like the ultimate digital translator. It allows a retailer's computer system to automatically generate and send a purchase order straight over to a supplier's computer. The supplier's computer reads it, processes it, and preps the shipment without a single human being ever needing to type anything out, spill coffee on a form, or shuffle a piece of paper. It's all automated. What's crazy is how much this tech has evolved over time. Traditional EDI, it used to be this super exclusive, expensive VIP club. It required dedicated hardware and highly secure private networks, which meant only massive corporations could afford to play. But internet-based EDI completely democratized the whole process. By just using the public internet and standard web protocols, the costs plummeted, and that allowed small businesses and fresh startups to plug directly into the global supply chain. Now, depending on who actually holds the power, these massive B2B transactions fall into three distinct architectural models. In a supplier-oriented market, the seller holds all the cards, like Dell selling their computers directly in bulk. Flip that around, and in a buyer-oriented market, a powerful buyer invites multiple suppliers to bid against each other, driving the prices way down. Finally, the intermediary-oriented model relies on a third-party platform to act as a matchmaker, just taking a commission to connect buyers and sellers in a common meeting place. Okay, let's keep descending. Section 4, Following the Digital Money. Time to look at the actual network protocols. To make all these instant transactions possible, physical cash literally had to disappear from the equation. Sure, we all know about everyday credit and debit cards, but the system goes way deeper. It utilizes smart cards loaded with little microprocessor chips, e-cash tokens that act as pure digital money stored right in an app wallet, and e-checks, which take your traditional paper check and replace it with a highly secure, digitally signed transfer. Now, to manage the flow of all this highly sensitive financial and operational data, companies have to build strict digital fences. An intranet is like a private, locked-down vault meant strictly for internal employees to share documents and communicate. But when a company needs to collaborate with an outside supplier, say to show them inventory levels, they open up what's called an extranet. This is a highly controlled, limited access gateway. It lets trusted external partners see exactly what they need to see and absolutely nothing more, keeping the core business totally secure. And doing the heavy lifting, routing all this data, is the actual backbone of the internet, TCP/IP. You can think of it as the internet's absolute most reliable courier service. The IP, or Internet Protocol, acts like the address system. It figures out the correct destination for your data packets out in the vast network. But the IP doesn't actually guarantee delivery. That's where TCP steps in. The Transmission Control Protocol makes absolutely sure that your data not only arrives, but arrives accurately, error-free, and in the exact right order. And finally, we have reached the absolute bottom of the iceberg. Section 5, the architecture of trust, security, and law. Because let's be real, without trust, absolutely nobody is typing their credit card number into a screen. Early on, this trust was built on protocols like SET, the Secure Electronic Transaction Process. When a customer orders, the payment is heavily encrypted. Then, using some seriously complex math and digital certificates, the identities of both the buyer and the seller are rigorously verified before the bank ever even approves the transaction. Modern systems might use simpler SSL protocols today, but it was rigorous systems like SET that laid the ultimate bedrock of online trust. But you know, that bedrock, it is constantly under attack. Literally every time you log on, you're navigating a minefield of threats. We're talking everything from corporations quietly matching and selling off your personal data, to relentless spam, totally toxic flaming in online interactions, and massive intellectual property theft, whether that's pirated software or fake branded products being sold on marketplace platforms. So to keep this whole iceberg from just crumbling into the ocean, strict consumer protection laws act as a vital shield. These principles essentially demand that online businesses act fairly, provide totally clear and honest info about their goods, ensure their payment gateways are locked down and secure, and offer real dispute resolution when things inevitably go wrong. Because without these legal frameworks, the digital marketplace would just instantly become a chaotic, unsafe place for all of us. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one big thought to chew on. We've traced the whole journey, right? From a simple click on a website, through the invisible supply chains, down into those B2B engines, the network protocols, and finally the laws that hold it all together. But as e-commerce becomes more invisible, more automated, and totally driven by complex algorithms, who truly holds the power over our digital lives? Is it us consumers, the giant platforms, or the hidden networks humming away beneath the surface? Thanks for diving deep with me today.